That moment I want to be perfect.
I believe at first she just wanted to be in the spotlight. I mean, she wanted a certain recognition. She wanted everyone to admire her. You know, she did start out as pin-up. Maybe she had an identity problem, or she wanted to be recognized, to belong to someone or something, I don't know. The one thing that strikes me is the way she's always posing so fast and so well. She always turns her face to the light, be it artificial light or natural sunlight, as in all those photographs on the beach she made by the dozen. It's true, she's always turned her face towards the source of light. She vibrates with good health. That's part of her sensuality. She really knows her body, that she's aware of the effect she has. There's a natural grace, an automatic talent for showing herself to her best advantage. It really shows up in this series of pictures next to each other. You may like some better than others, but they all have that wonderful grace. You never get tired of looking at Marilyn. Everyone has this love for Marilyn that's irrational, almost. It's not just me either. Everybody feels it. There's something about Marilyn that's totally irresistible. Even for today's woman, she has an appeal. I think she projects a very feminine image that's somehow timeless, that's not at all limited to her own period. There is something wonderfully tender. There is something about her that's very endearing. She evokes both femininity and childishness. A lot of women, if you ask me, identify much more with women who are immature. It has nothing to do with age. It's a question of a look, a smile. Even when she was going through the worst moment of her life, she could still come up with that look she had. That dazzling smile never failed.
Just two little girls from Little Rock. We lived on the wrong side of the tracks, but the gentlemen friends who used to call, they never did seem to mind at all. They came to the wrong side of the tracks.
Let's have that in slow motion, because their entrance, they really are a couple of vamps. When we see her films today, that difference between her real self and the role she's playing adds an extra touch. It's really tangible, so much more sensual. A professional dancer might have done certain things differently, more cleanly. But when you have that natural grace, that's what makes the difference between technical perfection and a truly personal interpretation.
Then someone broke my heart in Little Rock. So I up and left the pieces there. Like a little lost lamb I roamed about. I came to New York. York, and I found out that men are the same way everywhere. I was young and determined to be wine and dine and ermine, and I worked at it all around the clock. Now one of these days in my fancy clothes, I'm a-going back home and punch the nose of the one who broke my heart. The one who broke my heart. One who broke my heart in Little Rock, Little Rock, Little Rock.
In all her musical sequences, almost always her face, I mean, she's totally focused on the camera. It's a trick to lift her face and send those intimate kisses, and naturally they seem to come right through the screen. The song numbers are remarkable because actually she's playing for the camera.
Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell are welcomed by George Bowser, manager of the Fox West Coast Theaters, as they arrive to make their imprints in the famous concrete of Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. Filmdom's first blonde and first brunette, Marilyn and Jane won their chance to join Filmdom's immortals by their work in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, the Technicolor adaptation of the sensationally humorous musical comedy stage hit. Hollywood's photogs delight in the contrasting duo who, despite their clashing roles in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, offstage are as friendly as sorority sisters.
Saturday and Sunday, I was taken there to the Grauman's Chinese for 10 cents. I would go in, sit in the first row, and I watched all kinds of movies like Cleopatra with Claude Colbert. That I remembered very well. I'd sit there and I'd see it over and over and over and over again, till late at night. If I had seen a movie, I would go in my room and I would act out every part. Only I would act out before that happened or after, and I would act out all the parts, the men as well as the women. I never looked in the mirror. No, just the feeling. What he said and what she said and what he felt and she felt. And usually be sad.
This is a moment of thrill me, take me in your arms and make my life perfection. Make me, darling, don't forsake me. Kiss me, hold me tight. Love me tonight.
This shot is great. It's difficult to describe. There's a bit of the playmate, only much more than that. It's also it's one of the moments in the film where there's no speech, and it perfectly reveals her character. Of course, when I looked at it before, when I was alone, I watched this sequence in slow motion, and in the movement of her arm, when she puts it down, there's kind of total abandon. Along with a grace that's quite extraordinary. Of course, it's true. First of all, look at her hands. I adore them. They remind you of a child's, long and fine-boned. The hands of a child and her leg, the curve of her foot. Well, the whole thing has a feeling of sensuality, and everything is round, soft and round, a bit abandoned, a bit childlike.
I was at the Hollywood Studio Club. Tom Kelly had asked me to pose nude, but I always said no, I never would. And then I got so far behind the rent, so I called up and I said, "Are you sure they won't recognize me?" He said, "I promise." So we did it. And that's all. He just spread out some red velvet and had me lie down on the red velvet. I thought, they put some kind of lotion on you or something. Nothing. So it was very simple and drafty.
Television. I forgot she's on television. 50 million television sets in America. And now with the coaxial cable.
I had onions at lunch. I had garlic dressing at dinner. But he'll never know because I stay kissing sweet, the new dazzle-dent way.
And now that I have your attention, I want to warn all you girls and women of New York about an evil, dangerous, perfectly dreadful married man who lives downstairs in my building.
The thing that's marvelous in comedy is the childish aspect of it all. I mean, you take liberties with reality. It's marvelous.
Please, dear.
It shakes me. It quakes me. It makes me feel goose pimply all over. I don't know where I am, or who I am, or what I'm doing. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't ever stop. Why did you stop?
You know why I stopped.
Why?
Because now I'm going to take you in my arms and kiss you. Very quickly and very hard.
An actor's job is to act in anything, but playing comedy is special. It's twice as much fun, I think. Quite often I think of acting as a sort of game that is for me. Acting should always be a pleasure. Of course, it's also hard work, but when you see a comedy, anyway, I think it should make you feel glad just to be alive.
I don't know about Rachmaninoff with it shakes you and quakes you and stuff, but this really gets me.
It does?
And how?
Well, I think comedy is harder for me. I mean, it's just harder to act comedy, I think. For me, it seems that way. But I would like a variety of parts. Dramatic, sometimes comedy. Not musical too much because I never studied it. I always wanted to, but I never did, and it's very difficult.
There's things she has in all her comedies which I think is terribly difficult to play if you're a woman. Since the barrier between an actress who looks truly comical and an actress with a figure like hers, which is more, call it dream girl, glamour and sex appeal. Very, very difficult to use both your physique, your charm, and at the same time be able to display all your other talents as an actress. It's really very hard and very tricky for women to act comedy.
That's calling the time. I should stay. What can I do?
Okay, miss, I reckon you can go on with your song now.
Whereabouts were we, Henry?
I should stay away.
I should stay away, but what can I do? I hear your name, and I'm a flame.
The thing I think is incredible is her extraordinary talent for doing everything as if she's never done it before. When she gives that look of astonishment, you don't feel she's, that is, you feel it's a spontaneous reaction. She's not acting. It's not calculated. She has a different kind of mystery from other actresses, I think. At first impression, you'd say that she's much more transparent. But it's a different form of mystery because it's always masked, it's hidden behind a shrug or a movement or by her smile, her famous smile.
Thank you. And I want to thank all the members of the American Legion. Now, thank you. And I want to thank all the members of the American Legion.
This is wonderful. There, back it up just a little to the moment where all of a sudden it's as if she were rehearsing it.
Now?
Unbelievable. You see the difference in her look?
And I want to thank all the members of the American Legion.
She's acting. She's not someone who's there for an award. She's acting a part. Because for her, it's part of her profession, and you can feel that compared to what you see nowadays when an actress comes to get an award, where there's always kind of mixture